So if you own an 09 to 18 Ram and you take your truck to the work site a lot, you put it off-road, or you generally put it through a lot of abuse and you want some good front-end protection, you should be checking out Black Horse's off-road grill guard that I've got here on our truck currently. This is a good alternative to those big heavy armor bumpers. What I really like about this is it provides good protection for the bumper, the grille, and the headlights. However, it doesn't compromise your approach angles underneath like some of those armor bumpers do. This is a pretty simple buy. Obviously, it's the most affordable one available. However, it still does provide generally the same amount of coverage as some of the more expensive options. Now, one of the reasons I really like this grill guard in particular, besides the price, is it does retain some pretty nice features. I'm referring to the center support bar here. It's actually pre-drilled for auxiliary lighting. And besides those pre-drilled holes, the install is very straightforward. It is a bolt-on application, no custom modification, any cutting or drilling like that is required. If you do want to retain the splash guard underneath, you do have to make some cuts to that, but it's very simple and it's entirely optional. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and give this install a very simple 1 out of 3 wrenches on my difficulty meter. Shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes to an hour in the driveway with basic hand tools. So if you like the way the Black Horse grill guard looks and you like the price like I do, go ahead and stick around. I'm actually going to show you the install step by step. To install your grill guard, you'll need the following tools: a flathead screwdriver, a 3/16 Allen key, a drive ratchet, a 10mm socket, a 13mm socket, an 18mm socket, a 19mm socket, a 13mm wrench, and a 19mm wrench. Optional but helpful tools include a swivel and an impact gun. So we went ahead and we threw our truck up on the lift. That way we can show you guys where all the mounting hardware for your new grill guard goes. Before we can install all that hardware, we have to remove this plastic splash guard here. Now, what's holding the splash guard to the vehicle is pretty easy to remove. There's 4 10mm bolts up front, and on either end there are 2 rivets. You can just cut those rivets off. You're gonna need a 10mm socket for these 4 bolts here. All right, so once you've cut those rivets on either end and you pulled all 4 of those 10mm bolts, it's just a matter of pushing the splash guard out from underneath the bumper. Now, it's still held in place by a couple of retaining clips. There are also some push pins in there, plastic push pins you might know and recognize when they break very easily. Ours are already broken or removed, so all we gotta do is push those little retaining clips out. You can either use a long nose pliers or you can use a flathead screwdriver. All right, now that we have that plastic splash guard removed, it's time for us to make room for our frame brackets for our new grill guard. To do that, you're gonna have to pull 2 18mm nuts off the frame on either side, and you can use a deep socket with a swivel if you're using power tools like me. All right, with those 2 18mm nuts removed, you can start to throw up your frame brackets on either side. Once you have those on those bolts, you're gonna retighten those 18mm nuts. All right, with those frame brackets in place, we can actually install our brackets that mount to the grill guard itself. To do that, you're gonna slide it up onto the studs of that frame bracket, and you're gonna tighten it down using a flat washer and one of the 19mm locking nuts provided in the kit. All right, to tighten these down, you're gonna need a 19mm deep socket. All right, with the driver's side mounting bracket in place, we're gonna install the support bracket. Now, depending on whether your truck has tow hooks or not will dictate the position of this bracket. Since ours does not have tow hooks, the little U-shaped end right here is the end that's gonna secure to the mounting bracket. In our case, the flat end of this support bracket is gonna secure to the pre-threaded hole on the frame itself back here. Now you're gonna need the 19mm fine threaded bolt for the pre-threaded hole on the frame, and then you're gonna use regular bolts and flat washers and nuts to secure the support bracket to the mounting bracket on this side. All right, now our driver's side brackets are all set up and they're ready for our grill guard. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other side, then we can start installing the grill guard itself. So before we install the grill guard itself, we have to install 2 more support brackets. I'm talking about the 2 top ones up here. Those secured to the hardware that holds the headlights to the vehicle. Now to get to those bolts, you do have to pull the grill off the truck. It's not too difficult, it's actually very straightforward. You have to pull this plastic guard off of here, there's plastic fasteners, so just use a little bit of hand pressure to remove that. Once you remove this cover, we're gonna pull the grill. The grill is secured using 10mm bolts, so you're gonna need a 10mm socket for that. We've now exposed the bolt that we have to pull from the headlight here. Again, it's gonna be a 10mm socket to remove that. Once you pull that bolt, you're gonna grab your support bracket, set it in like so, and tighten that bolt back down. All right, with those 2 top support brackets in place, you can now reinstall your grill and that plastic guard. All right, now that all those brackets are in place, our grill's back on, we tested our fitment here, make sure our hood's not hitting, we are actually ready to install our grill guard. Now there's a trick to doing this by yourself actually. This might be a little bit heavy for some, however, thanks to the rubber lining on the guard itself, you can actually rest it on the floor here. Then you can just pull either side up, line the holes up, grab some of your bolts and flat washers. You can actually secure the grill guard to the brackets without tightening anything down. Once you've got 1 bolt on either side, you can swing the guard up in place, put in 2 more bolts and flat washers, and it'll stay in place and you can attach all the nuts and other hardware that you need to. All right, now that our grill guard's in place and we have all the bolts where we need to have them, we can actually install the nylon locking nuts on the insides as well as those flat washers. All right, with one side tightened down, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Again, you're gonna need a flat washer and one of those nylon nuts for each of these bolts. All right, now that our grill guard is in place and tightened down, we're almost wrapped up here. Our next step is installing our headlight guards on either side. To install these, you're gonna need to grab the Allen head bolts included with the kit, as well as the smaller flat washers and the 13mm nylon locking nuts. All right, with the headlight guard secured to the main body of the grill guard, the next step is securing it to this top support bracket that we installed earlier. To secure it to this bracket, you're gonna grab the provided 13mm bolt, and that bolt already has a crush washer and a flat washer fixed to it. All right, now that our driver's side is complete, we're gonna do the same exact process to the passenger side. So once your grill guard is fully installed, it's up to you if you want to reinstall the splash guard underneath. If you do, you'll have to make some minor cuts to it to accommodate the brackets underneath here. Personally, I'm a fan without it, so we're going to go ahead and leave ours off our truck. And on that note, that actually also wraps up my review of the Black Horse Off-Road Grill Guard fitting your 09 to 18 Ram. I'm Travis, thanks for watching. For all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.